Kyle, you're up. Thank you for waiting so patiently. I understand your time is precious and you're a very rich and important person, but we need to talk basics with you. I gave you a chance yesterday in the press conference. I asked you to take responsibility for this turnover issue, and you didn't. I asked you in general, do you go back and look at the turnovers and assess which ones are your fault? And you basically said, yeah, I do that for all my decisions every game. And you wouldn't address it head on. So I had to follow up and I said, okay, Kyle, what about the 4 turnovers against Dallas? Were any of those your fault? Do you look at any of those turnovers and say, yeah, that one's on me? And you said no. And then you went through all 4 and was like, hey, Richie James Jr. fumbling, that's not my fault. 3rd and 8, that's not my fault. The first pick, that's not my fault. Well, let me tell you something, Kyle. I can go through all 4 and show you how you were culpable. It's not 100% your fault, but it's at least 50% of your fault. It's at least 50% your fault each time. And before I get into each one, I'm going to, and I want you to take out your play sheet and we can go through this together. I want to just point out that while you think you're powerless to affect turnovers, you're not. You're the head coach. When Jim Harbaugh was the head coach, what he did was have a very conservative style of offense. They would play for field goals all the time. They would run the ball all the time. They didn't score a lot of points. They won a lot of games, though, because they had the dominant defense. They had the dominant run game. There was no reason to be aggressive with their passing game. And they weren't. Fans didn't like it. They won a lot of games. So here's a stat. Harbaugh's first year, 2011, inherits a quarterback, Alex Smith, who's been a turnover machine in his career up to this point. 2011, his first year there, you know how many turnovers the Niners had? 10. The whole season. 10. Not a fluke. Because the next season, 2012, 16 turnovers. Again, that's fantastic. 2013, 18 turnovers. This is a product of Jim Harbaugh's coaching, his conservative coaching style. Now, you're much more aggressive. And if you got Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, go get them. That's a lot of fun. But you don't. You don't have Debo. You don't have Kittle. You don't have a starting quarterback. You don't have a good offensive line. You got a backup quarterback and a backup offensive line, and you're going bombs away and losing games you could win with your defense. So let's go through it. Let's go through each turnover, and I'll explain to you how you're culpable. First one. Dallas's first possession of the game. Your defense forces a 3 and out. It's a hell of a defense. Dallas punts. Who returns? Richie James Jr., who fumbled a punt return against New Orleans a few weeks ago. He's done that already. And he has a sprained thumb. I didn't know that. You told me that yesterday. So you knew he was injured. You knew ball security was an issue before he sprained his thumb. That would be a bigger issue after he sprained his thumb. You let him return the punt anyway, fumble. Now you're down 7-0. That's on you. When Jim Harbaugh let Kyle Williams return punts and kicks in the NFC Championship game, that was as much Jim Harbaugh's fault as it was Kyle Williams' fault. You're the head coach. You see what these guys are doing. You make the executive decision. No, we're not putting Richie James back there. We're putting Brandon Ayuk. That one's on you. Let's move on. Next possession. The fumble on 3rd and 8. You say, you know what? Not my fault that we're in 3rd and 8. 3rd and 8's a tough down. DeMarcus Lawrence makes a great play. He's basically better than Mike McGlinchey. I got to tip my hat to DeMarcus Lawrence. And to a degree, that's true. DeMarcus Lawrence, just better than Mike McGlinchey. That's a tough matchup for McGlinchey. Mullins got the ball knocked out of his hand almost instantly. What did Mullins do wrong? You didn't blame either one of them. And you know what? I'll go with you on that. I'm blaming you, Kyle. Here's why. Why were you in 3rd and 8? It's simple why you were in 3rd and 8. You know why? Because on 2nd and 8, you called a pass. On 2nd and 8, you called a pass. I understand doing that if you have Matt Ryan, if you have a good passing offense, a good offensive line, but you don't. If you had a terrible defense and we're constantly trying to come from behind, great, throw bombs away, man, do it. But you have a good defense, a top 5 defense, a dominant run game, and you passed on 2nd and 8, and it was incomplete, and that brought on 3rd and 8. Had you run on 2nd and 8, who knows, you might have got the first down. Who knows, you might have got 6 yards. Because here's the thing, Kyle, the best play in your playbook this season, handoff to Mostert. The second best play in your playbook this season? Hand off to Jeff Wilson. Third best play for you this season. Shovel pass to Brandon Ayuk. Fourth best play for you this season. Hand off to Kyle Juszczyk. You missed all four of those. You went straight to a pass with your backup quarterback, who is a turnover machine this season because he's getting his brains beaten in behind the worst offensive line in the league. That's what you did. So 3rd and 8 was your fault. It was avoidable. Run the freaking ball, Kyle. With this defense, with this run game, and that offensive line, and that quarterback, run the freaking ball. So that's 2. Now you're down 14-0, and it's your fault. You're down 14-0 against a bad team that can't stop the run because you played the wrong punt returner and you passed on 2nd and 8 against the worst run defense in the league. Giving up 5 yards a carry. You're running well. You pass. Why? Harbaugh wouldn't. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. So now we get into the 4th quarter, okay? 24-24. Your team has come back from the hole you created. All the way back. 24-24. Then we get an interception. On 3rd and 6, we asked you about it. You said, you know what? It's really not Nick's fault. He went to the right spot. He went to the right spot, and he did. I could fault your design, but that's not what I'm talking about. I don't want to talk about design. I'm talking simple stuff here. What you're saying again is 3rd and 6. You got to throw. What am I going to do? I tried to call the best play I had. I got what I got. The guy made a play. What are you going to do? Tip your cap. Again, true. You don't have the personnel to really pull off 3rd and long. But why were you in 3rd and 6? Well, on 1st and 10, with 11:25 left in the 4th quarter, tie game, 24-24, you called a pass. Why? Again, that's not your best play, your 2nd best play, your 3rd best play, your 4th best play. Your 4 best plays are handoffs and shovel passes. Your 5th best play is some pass. And the reason it is because your offense can't execute passes. A lot has to go right. All 5 offensive linemen have to maintain their blocks, and your quarterback has to read the field correctly and make an accurate throw. That hasn't been happening very often. That's like the Haley's Comet. And you call a pass on 1st and 10. Guess what? Nick Mullins has to throw the ball away. Now you're in 2nd and 10. So Coleman runs the ball, gains 4, 3rd and 6. It's on you. Run the freaking ball. You're losing the game with your passing game. And you keep coming back to it when you don't have to. Run the ball. 1st and 10. Run the ball. Tie game. You're not down 2 scores. You're in control. Anyway, so that's number 3. And then finally, the one turnover that you blamed on your quarterback, Nick Mullins, the last one. This is with 2:51 left, 2nd and 9 at the 49-yard line, midfield. You're down 3. You should be playing for the field goal at least. Your defense is playing lights out. You're not going to win this game with your offense. You're not going to win this game you're not going to win any games with your offense this year. What you're trying to do is win the game with your defense and not lose it with your offense. So what do you do on 2nd and 9? You run the ball. No, that's not what you do. On 2nd and 9, you call a shot play, a deep pass to Kyle Juszczyk. You go ultra aggressive. Yeah, what could go wrong? Why do you put the game in Nick Mullins' hands? You should be trying to win it with your defense. So, of course, Nick Mullins throws a pick and you say, yeah, he went to the wrong spot. He should have went deep to Kyle Juszczyk. Really? On 2nd and 9 at midfield, throw a low percentage pass down the field to a fullback. That's the play. I mean, Harbaugh wouldn't have called that. He won 75% of his games here. He wouldn't have called. That's very aggressive. If you had Matt Ryan, do it, dude. You don't. You have Nick Mullins. So you call this super aggressive shot play on 2nd and 9? Run the ball. You're 15 yards away from field goal range, from tying the game. Back up. Run the ball. You throw deep, you're going for the win. You're going for the jugular. You thought that was going to work, huh? You trusted Mullins that much? I don't even trust Mullins that much. Dude. So that's how this is on you. All you got to do is be a little more conservative when you have a lead or when you're in a 1-score game. You don't have to go bombs away. on first and second down when you got your backup quarterback and Mike McGlinchey out there. All right. So that's what you're working on the rest of the season. Being more conservative, complementary football, win with your defense. You're not going to win with your offense. Win with your defense. Don't lose it with your offense. Win with your defense. Don't lose it with your offense. Your goal this week is to have 1 turnover. That's it. To ask you to have 0 turnovers is way too much. It's just ridiculous. But how about just 1? Not 4. Try for 1 and see what happens. Maybe your excellent defense will actually win a game for you. Maybe you'll win a game with your defense and Brandon Ayuk returning punts. And Jeff Wilson Jr. running like the hardest runner of all time. Give it a shot. See if you can prevent CJ Beathard from losing this game from you, man. Because if CJ loses the game, you lost the game. You put it in his hands. It should never have been in his hands.